Hello everyone, and welcome back to Week 10 of the NFL. We are the Fantasy Horsemen. We are down to 3 again tonight. Karlos is not with us, unfortunately. He had better things to do. He had work to do.
Yeah, this is funny because last week he just totally went balls to the wall on Nick because he had work, and now he won't practice what he preached. How terrible is this?
Look what's going on here, guys. Look what's going on. I'm glad I'm back, though, guys. I missed last week.
Yeah, we missed you, Nick. Well, we have Nick back with us this week, and it's Gil, and I'm Jack. So we're gonna get quickly into some Week 10 updates for injury news, a couple of things that happened during the weekend of games. So I'm going to start off with Gil here. Gil, can you give us a player where you want to give us an update on here?
So yes, Browns running back Nick Chubb has tested positive for COVID-19. His status for Sunday's game against New England is very doubtful. Obviously, he is a first-round pick. This is very important. And not only is he tested positive for COVID-19, as I said last week, Nick's favorite player, the metric system Felton, is also tested positive for COVID-19. However, so there's slight hope because Nick Chubb, unlike Aaron Rodgers, is vaccinated. And he has to give in the results within 24 negative results every 24 hours for 2 days in a row. Yeah, so that's the only shining light in this situation, but his status remains absolutely doubtful. I wouldn't take the chance. Try to snag Dearness Johnson if you get the chance.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you. Is Dearness Johnson now a priority pickup for you this week?
Very much so. Guaranteed volume. We saw what he did against the Broncos, and they had Felton. If you have no Felton, you have no Hunt, you have no Chubb, you play Dearness Johnson. Okay,
so what would you be willing to give up, your number one waiver priority on him this week? Yeah, and how much fab would you be spending at this point in the season? Let's say you only have $50 left out of your $100 budget. How much fab are you willing to spend?
See, I'm not experienced as much as fab as I would be with you, so I don't know how much I would say that doesn't seem like you're going, oh my God, Gil, you madman. No, she said $50, right?
If you have $50, you obviously have 8 weeks left of the fantasy season. $50 of your $100 budget, so half left.
I would probably go with maybe a modest 8.
Okay, all right.
I'm going actually different. I'm going $15, $20.
Yeah.
But just because, a different reason too, because Kareem Hunt is still hurt and he can still fill in whenever, before Hunt comes back. Yeah. And even if he does come back and he's not 100%, I think Johnson still might play a role.
I'm going to disagree on this one because we thought this, and then last week, he didn't do that.
He didn't, yeah.
He didn't really, yeah.
And I guess you could chalk that up to Chubb having just a fantastic game, from top to bottom. And I need to mention that I was texting Jack in the middle of this game and saying Chubb has done nothing. Next thing you know, he lights it up, and I'm like, you gotta
70-yard
be
touchdown.
Kidding me.
Oh my God! I think my quote in the group chat was, Chubb is an RB2 at the moment, and it's tough. And then the next
I think he heard us. He definitely heard us.
All right, let's move on to Nick here. Nick, who's your injury update?
I'm actually looking at Russell Wilson. He's been out for just about a month now, and the Seahawks haven't been looking as great, but Geno Smith's been holding it up as much as he could. But it's looking like he's going to be playing against the Packers, according to Adam Schefter. It looks like he's on track and he's clear to play. But we're going to get confirmation later on in the week that he'll officially start. But once he starts, and it doesn't look like that Rodgers is going to play again, but it looks like Seahawks are looking for a good week this week.
So you plug DK, Tyler Lockett back in, plug him in.
Well,
no problem.
DK's still got the floor.
Yeah. DK
Lockett's
always put in.
He has the floor, from that one catch that he had that one night, which was a 60-yard touchdown, and he had 2 or 3 the week before that.
That's exactly his game.
Yeah.
So I could see why.
Yeah.
Tyler Lockett.
No, you still plug him. I don't know why I'm arguing this.
Yeah, no, Tyler, because DK's a second-round pick in most leagues, right? Yeah. Standard PPR, of course, and I just think Lockett's tricky.
Yeah.
Lockett's tricky.
He is tough. I think he will be. I mean, he gets an uptick with Wilson back.
If you're in a 3 wide receiver league, I think you have to play Lockett as your 3rd wide receiver, just with the amount of upside that he has to give to you.
He's wide receiver 2 flex.
Yeah. He could win you a week. Let's be real. So okay, so I'm going to give 2 guys here. So I'm going to talk about Chase Edmonds. I'm salty about this one. He went out in the first play of the game this weekend, and that led to James Conner having a week-winning week, which was against me in one league where I was on a charge, but it was the league I started 0-5. I won the last 3, and I was hoping to win this one. but it wasn't to be. So Chase Edmonds, high ankle sprain. He's out multiple games per Adam Schefter. So I think that puts him at. I think that puts James Conner as an RB2 now.
I don't know.
Really?
I would go maybe a bit higher.
Okay.
No. I'm not arguing against it, because did you see what he did last week? This man put up a 40 ball.
He's not going to do that again, though.
He won't do that again.
He won't do that again. But I
guess you could chalk that up to Kyler Murray being hurt.
Yeah, it was game script. It was
definitely game script.
Hopkins wasn't there.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I would say they're a bit banged up, but if they keep him rolling.
Yeah.
He's not going to do 40 every week, obviously.
No,
let's not make him any mistakes here. Yeah. But he can give you 20.
Yeah, I think he could put those up. I think they have a game this week and then they're in their bye next week is the only thing. So that is something to look at. And then the next guy I'm going to talk about, not the most fantasy relevant, but Allen Robinson, which is weird to say. Like, if you told me, I would be saying not the most fantasy relevant Allen Robinson, but not the most fantasy relevant Allen Robinson hurt his hamstring on his longest play of the season, of course. He had a 39-yard catch, great catch.
The rise and fall of Allen Robinson.
And he hurt his hamstring on it. It's classic. I mean, I don't think it has that much of a thing. It's their bye week this week, so you hold on to him if you've had him, because honestly, if people own him at this point, they're going to be holding him because you've held him through so much. So I don't think this has much fantasy relevance.
At this point, I feel like most people around me have dropped him.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same situation.
I don't rush to pick him up.
Me neither, and it's kind of the same situation with when Odell Beckham was on the Browns. At one point, people have just said enough is enough. I got to drop him. Yeah. Same thing with Allen Robinson. It wasn't even just the quarterback switch. Yeah. He wasn't performing well with Andy Dalton. I think it's something to do with Matt Nagy's system, that it's totally just flipped the script and kind of relied way more on the run than you've obviously already done. Yeah. So And the only beneficiary of the passing attack, by the looks of it, Jimmy Graham, Cole Kmet at times, and Darnell Mooney.
Yeah, Kmet actually looked good last night.
Kmet looked actually very good.
So that's interesting. Well, you mentioned someone. We're going to move into our next segment here, and we're going to talk about Odell Beckham Jr. So he has just cleared waivers today. There was obviously a lot of controversy around that move. He wanted out of the organization. It was obvious he wasn't a good fit there. Their goals did not align, and to be honest with you, he had just been playing bad. He's been dropping passes. So we're going to each mention a team here that we think would be a good fit for Odell Beckham now he has cleared waivers. So I'm going to start with Gil.
I'm going to put us to the sound effects. We haven't used the sound effects yet. So my team is the Baltimore Ravens.
Okay.
Interesting pick.
I don't think anybody's talking about how important it would be to stock up on a wide receiver for a red-hot Lamar Jackson right now. Obviously, Hollywood Brown's having a fantastic season. I think Sammy Watkins, the addition of him and the return of Rashad Bateman has a lot to do with that. But if you had Odell, another insane deep threat, oh my God.
Yeah.
This is amazing. This would be amazing for Lamar. Not only does this create so many opportunities for opposing defenses to get absolutely burnt, but oh my God, this would be incredible. I want to see this happen.
And you can't forget about Mark Andrews also there. He's
been fantastic. He's been very like boomer bust, but not in a bad way. Yeah. Like his bust doesn't seem too bad at the moment. But I like Baltimore. I think he could be a fantastic fit because their offense is very Showtime.
Yeah. I like Rashad Bateman.
I do like Rashad Bateman, but he's not fantasy friendly.
He had an okay game this week. I think he had 5 catches for 60-odd yards, and I think he could have more of a say. But now you have mentioned Baltimore, I could see that as a good landing spot for him. That wasn't really one that I actually really considered. I don't know, do they have the cap space?
I'm not sure. They haven't really made any indication that they do want to sign him. But if they were to sign him, I know Odell's primary target right now is title contenders.
Yes.
I don't know why he thinks some certain teams that we'll probably delve into later are title contenders. Yeah. But Baltimore should be knocking on that door.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Nick, what is your team for Odell?
I'm actually going to Green Bay for Odell. I think that'd be a great spot for him. You have Devontae Adams on the other side, who's getting probably double covered, and Odell's going to be looking like he can have single coverage. There's really no other receivers besides Adams that's really going to pose a threat to him, besides like targets and receptions. But we also said that in Cleveland, and Baker Mayfield just never wanted to throw the ball to him.
I guess the only thing there is, like, is he a renter player? Because is Rodgers gone in the offseason? Because I personally think he is.
No, Green Bay's a wreck, and you know damn well they're not going to buy in on a wide receiver because they haven't done so anyway.
Yeah.
Why would they do it now?
Exactly.
I like Lazard as well.
I think
Lazard's good. I like
yeah.
Valdez-Scantling a bit. He's been starting to actually improve his on his hands.
Mm-hmm. But is it the receivers or is it Rodgers making them look good?
Both. I would say
You'd
both
say
because Scantling was dropping passes like crazy last year. And I'm going to say this now because as a Devontae Adams owner, Devontae Adams' biggest enemy to his own progress is Aaron Jones. Because I don't know if you guys noticed this, but there's been a lot of opportunities where I feel like Devontae Adams usually gets the big yardage plays, and instead of opting for that, they always backfield past a bunch. And I don't want to say just specifically Aaron Jones.
Yeah, it's that run game.
It's just the run game because you could also rope A.J. Dillon into this mess. The run game has just been, I don't want to say the proverbial kryptonite, but if Devontae Adams could put up a 40-piece, what will stop them?
Yeah,
that backfield.
I was going to say, because I'm actually a little worried about Aaron Jones. I'm a Jones owner, and I know Nick is as well. Yeah. And watching that game this weekend, because it was a great game on paper. The Chiefs, the Packers, it looked great.
Then Rodgers got COVID.
Rodgers got COVID, of course. But, it was love against Mahomes. But Aaron Jones wasn't getting the run of the ball. A.J. Dillon was getting a lot of that early down stuff.
I noticed that too, yeah.
It worries me just a tad because Aaron Jones is a locked and loaded RB1 every week. You plug and you play him. But it's difficult because that can ruin your matchup.
I feel like I was just given the impression that this game was more so about testing the depth of the team than trying to actually win the game.
It was a weird game.
As soon as Rodgers was officially declared out, there was like, all right, screw it, we lost. Put in the subs. Don't worry about Devontae Adams. Don't worry about Aaron Jones. Tunn's already done for the year.
Yeah.
I think Love just being in that offense really just messed up the chemistry.
You would think it would be a better opportunity also for them because they're playing really weak defenses this past week, and the next against Seattle.
Yeah.
You think that would be a good opportunity for them to actually try to test throwing the ball. And you'd be surprised because Devontae Adams was getting a whopping 41% target share.
He had 14 targets this week.
And Aaron Rodgers was probably sipping his whiskey on his chair today, like, and they wanted to replace me with this guy. Like, come on.
With him? Who?
Yeah. Honestly, it looks like a bad decision. I'm gonna get into my team here, and that's the Seattle Seahawks. So I'm kind of jumping on the bandwagon a little bit.
Can I stop you right there?
There are so many people talking about this, so I am jumping on the bandwagon a little bit. The biggest thing is they have the cap space there, and I know a lot of people say, yeah, but they have DK and they have Tyler Lockett. Let's be honest, like Tyler Lockett is not like I was all over him this offseason, and I was all over him in the draft process, but I think that Tyler Lockett is having one of those kind of seasons again where it's hit and miss. Odell Beckham could come in and be a 7-8 target a game kind of player. And the thing I liked the most is when Pete Carroll was questioned about it, there was something there. I don't know if you guys saw that interview, but he was kind of saying, I know I haven't really given you an answer there, and then paused, and he was just like, you'll see. I
understand the rumor mill. I understand the rumor mill, but before, let me backtrack for a second. You go last year, remember, Antonio Brown was like, I'm eligible to play for an NFL team now, right? The problem was, everyone thought he was going to Seattle. Because they said they did their due diligence, and Russell Wilson's like, we need to bring him in, right? This would do great for our team. Nothing. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it was because of AB's track record. Obviously, that plays a part.
I think it was Brady.
Yeah, he wants to play with Brady. He wants a ring.
You'd think Antonio Brown would have been salivating at the chance to play with Russell Wilson as well.
Yeah, probably. But this is the thing. It's like, they're stacked teams, but look at Tampa Bay. You think Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, they don't need AB. AB has thrived. So
AB's been the wide receiver one.
And they're a pass-first team. As much as Pete Carroll wants to say, we like to run the ball, like they're a pass-first team.
No.
Like
you have Russell Wilson, you're a pass-first team.
So like you put Odell Beckham out there, imagine what that's going to do for DK and Tyler Lockett.
Very much so, yeah.
Especially when running backs like Chris Carson are always going out.
Their running depth is just completely stretched thin.
Okay, all right, great. Well, we're going to cut to a quick break here, and when we get back, we're going to talk about some fantasy MVPs at the midway point of the season. Stay tuned. Welcome back, guys. We're going to get into some fantasy MVPs here at the midway point. We just finished week 9. there is no like real midway point anymore now with the 17-game season.
I hate it. I hate having an odd number.
It used to be the 8-game.
It feels so weird.
No, I don't like.
Halfway.
I don't like the idea that a team can be 9-8.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
It is weird. So we're going to get into our MVP by position here. So we're each got a player that we're going to talk about at the QB position, the running back position, wide receiver, tight end. We're going to talk about who our MVP is at the midway point. So I'm going to start off with Nick here. Give us your MVP at the quarterback position, Nick.
Oh, well, I'm going someone that you could have probably grabbed like pretty late in your drafts. I'm going at Matthew Stafford. Just look at what he's done on his new team with the Rams, especially with the new receivers that he's gotten. I think, what is he? He's got to be like top 5, top 4.
I think he's
quarterback.
fourth.
But
he's ranked
now,
4th,
right?
yeah.
In my league, he's top 2 because it's 6 points for each touchdown. But
I don't mean to cut you off. He's 0.1 behind Jalen Hurts for that third rank.
See, so like it's just you could have grabbed him so late, and he's just doing such wonders for you. He even this week he actually just beat my brother in a last second throw into Sony Michel for a nice garbage time touchdown.
Really?
So yeah, he's an MVP for my friend Anthony. Shout out to you. But yeah, no, that's my guy.
I think the other thing with that is he should have won your friend that week because he threw 2 picks. He played terribly. So on paper he should, and it helps that he has great receivers like Cooper Kupp, like.
Robert Woods.
You could say
MVP
that in reverse too.
about.
Like Cooper Kupp is thankful now that he has a quarterback in Matt Stafford.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just look at that whole offense. They're just all benefiting. Henderson, for that matter, too, is also benefiting. So
Absolutely.
He could be in the discussion, but that's for later.
All right, let's get on to Gil here. Gil, give us your QB MVP.
I'm going to move to the other side of the country on this one. Big trust. Give me Lamar Jackson. I can't stress enough how much I love Lamar Jackson. This is one of my favorite players in the NFL just to watch, man. My biggest thing is that I've never seen a player really been able to flip a game on its head in such a short span quite like Lamar Jackson. We can even go back to literally last Sunday. Against Minnesota, they're down by a bunch and a half. They only had the field goal come the third quarter. Lights it up. Touchdown, 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 touchdown. Overtime. And then boom, 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 boom. That was like an 18 play or 88-yard drive or something like that in total.
Yeah, no, he's a beast.
I can't stress I was very skeptical about drafting him heading into the season because his last season was a little rocky. But his rushing output now has flourished, I would say, given now that they have a little bit more depth. Obviously, we thought they were not going to do anything at all, given the injuries prior to the season. You know, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, you get the idea.
I think he was the third leading rusher this week as well. He had 121 rushing yards. I think he was third. I'd have to check that, but that's just absolutely incredible from a QB.
Yeah. And you'd think that you'd need, obviously Lamar Jackson's like lottery comes from the rushing output. However, you'd think you'd want him to like throw more. But he's only eclipsed the 300-yard mark in the air twice this season.
That's crazy.
Wow. And he's putting up
like his floor. His lowest scoring game was obviously the 13-point game when they absolutely blew the lights out of the Chargers. But that was just because the game script was so positive. Any other situation, he's running the lights out.
Yeah. Now, Lamar has been awesome. I didn't draft him because I do tend to wait on QB. Speaking of waiting on QB, Tom Brady. So he is the QB1 of the season. When it comes to like the MVP, it's not just about where they are in terms of the rankings, it's also where they are in terms of where you drafted them. Tom Brady, similar to Matt Stafford, was a guy that you picked up in the 7th or 8th round once the elite guys in your eyes had gone off your board. The Kylers, the Lamar, the Josh Allen, the Patrick Mahomes, those QB, Russell Wilson, those guys had come off the board. Brady probably went in the 7th or 8th round in your draft. He is now the QB1. He's averaging over 25 fantasy points a game. He has absolutely elite wide receivers in Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, and he also has his Gronk, who I know hasn't played much this season. But Brady is putting up the kind of numbers that you can only dream of. If you're able to draft 6 players ahead of Brady, your team is stacked, And I think he's a guy that, coming off the bye, I would absolutely happily go and trade for right now. I don't know what people are willing to give up, but if you throw in a Hurts maybe and a wide receiver, someone might be willing to give that up because Hurts has had good floor as well. So, yeah, I love Tom Brady.
And Brady could even be someone's backups. He could have been someone that someone just grabbed, put him on your bench, and
you think about it, like I drafted Lamar Jackson in round 6, so you would think that he would do quarterback things. That's like usually between 6, 8, 9. That's usually your average quarterback round.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, at the round you draft him, and he's playing at the most elite level, he's probably the front runner for the actual NFL MVP right now. Wow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And he's 43, 45? I don't freaking...
He's just getting better as he gets older, man. I don't get
43,
it.
I think is right. All right, we're going to get onto the running back position here. Nick, why don't you give us your MVP running back up until this point?
Another guy I'm looking at actually probably wasn't even drafted, and one of your favorite guys on the Falcons, Cordell Patterson. I mean, you could say he's a running back, wide receiver, any position that you wanted, but I'm saying Patterson in this spot just because of how weird the running back position's been this year and how inconsistent it has been. But Patterson's just always consistent for you. He's always going to give you your double digits, and you probably grabbed him on the waivers somewhere like week 2, week 3, just doing great wonders for you when you grabbed your running backs early in the draft, and he's probably in your flex spot. Awesome guy. He's my MVP.
Yeah, he's great, and this week, it was, if you look at his rushing output, I think he had 9 rushes for something like 12 yards. Yeah. But he had 6 catches for 126. This is the thing, that's wide receiver-like numbers. It's absolutely incredible what he's doing.
You could throw him anywhere in your spot, and he's going to put up points for you.
And he also put up a huge catch at the end of the game down the sideline where that set them up for the game-winning field goal as well. He produced a huge play there, so that's absolutely great.
And especially with Calvin Ridley out now, he's going to also benefit with more targets.
Absolutely.
Which is going to be crazy.
All right, let's get into Gil's running back MVP.
We're what? This is week 9? How many audibles have I called already? Too damn many, right? I'm going to call another one. I was going to say Zeke Elliott. I'm switching it up. Najee Harris.
Okay. I like that pick. I like that.
Well, you see, the thing was, nobody expected him to go absolutely like the way he is. We were saying last week, he could go first round next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
we were talking off air. What was that conversation we had off air where I think, or maybe it was on air, we were talking about like, if we were to redraft today, who would be in the top 3? That was on air.
And
I was saying
you were arguing Najee Harris. Yeah. I was almost going to go with Austin Eckler too. The thing with Najee Harris that just totally surprised everybody here was he's giving you amazing floor. Not only is he hitting projections, which we don't usually like to rely on, but he's exceeding them multiple times. He's hitting 20 points consistently week by week by week, and it's not. And you could you could really chalk it up to Mike Tomlin having a fantastic system that lets running backs like James Conner and Le'Veon Bell, and now Najee Harris flourishing. I can't stress enough. He rarely puts up over 100 yards on the ground. All of his value comes from catching.
Yeah,
receiving passes. I would love to have a Najee Harris on my team like that because now you've seen literally last night how often they've relied on him. Even though he put up like a 17-point game roughly, this is the player you want to have. Yeah. These are games that you want him to have. And he's only a rookie. Yeah. Can you imagine the type of stuff? Now next year when he's able to read defenses a little bit better, he can put up 30 balls. He hasn't touched the 30 ball yet, but he could put one up.
He reminds me of a James Conner when Le'Veon Bell was out that year. Mm-hmm. He reminds me of the numbers he's putting up, the amount of receptions he's getting. I think Najee Harris is just really explosive and such a great and vital, important part of that offense in Pittsburgh.
And he had, in week 3 of this season, he had a 19-target game, which was like the second most targets.
His target share is ridiculous, and given the options that they have, Deontay Johnson, for a minute, Juju Smith-Schuster, Chase Claypool, and of course, Jack and my favorite, the Muth. Mm-hmm. Pat Freiermuth, but come on, he looks like he's been the top guy.
Yeah, he's an absolute top dog, and he was going. The difference between James Conner that year when Le'Veon Bell went out was James Conner was going at the very end of the draft because people thought Bell was playing, and then he didn't play. The difference was Najee was you were drafting him at the start to mid-second.
I think he was taken in the 3rd in most drafts, I feel.
It depends on what you were doing, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, depending on the league, but most drafts I was in, he went in.
I was thinking, like, I usually had him at the time that I drafted, I think it was like a low 2nd, high 3rd.
Yeah, I think it depends on where you were drafting, but Najee's absolutely great. I'm going to talk about a guy who I have no exposure to, and that's Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is an absolute machine. He's averaging 20.7 PPR points. He's had 3 game-winning weeks over 27 points, this week being one of them with 32 points against the Jets. He is absolutely on a tear, and he has a really nice schedule coming up as well. Jonathan Taylor is going to be, in my eyes, the RB1 at the end of the season, because obviously now Derrick Henry's out. I think Jonathan Taylor has the potential to completely break out.
I don't mean to call you out, Jack, but I want to really think about how hilarious it is that we're at week 9 and you're saying I'm all over Jonathan Taylor, where I think we were in week 3 or 4 and we were saying, oh, Jonathan Taylor has kind of not been it.
I am absolutely happy to eat my words. Like this is the thing with the fantasy football community. If you do not eat your words, you are not going to do well. Because
no, you have to not die on that hill.
Yeah, you get things wrong.
Of course.
I was wrong there. It's like, but now, God, I've sent out trades for him last week before the 32-point week. Now it's impossible to trade for him.
All things considered, he is the top-ranked running back now that Derrick Henry's hurt.
Yes.
My friends actually told me this is a statistic here. Would you guys think this is true or false statement? Fantasy is 25% skill, 75% luck.
Not 75%, but there's a lot of luck that plays into it.
When I was early on in my fantasy career, the late and great Mike Tagliere would say that it was 33% the draft, 33% the waiver wire, what you did during the season, and 33% luck. I always liked that kind of metric because you do a lot of work in the offseason for the draft.
But I feel like that just plays a part. You have to put up lineup settings somewhere in between, because that's
I think that goes to the waiver wire.
That's just your own intuition.
Yeah, it's like it's like strategy being on it. I think that and then 33% luck. It is. Yeah. Like if you have Derrick Henry, he's the best player.
A lot of this.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can grab the best guy in the league, and then he goes down the first play of the first game of the season.
Look at the top 10 running backs who win the season. Henry's out, McCaffrey's been out, Saquon's out, Nick Chubb's out this week.
Cook's banged up.
Cook's been banged up. It's brutal. So let's get on to the wide receiver position here. Give me your wide receiver, Nick. This guy's pretty good, I think.
I think if you grabbed him in the 4th, 5th round, somewhere around there this year, you're looking like you're a top dog in your fantasy league. I would say Cooper Kupp.
Hot take. He's garbage. I'm kidding.
Look, I had him last year, and he was just decent for me. And I was like, oh, that's why I'll avoid him. And he might have a boost with Matthew Stafford, my quarterback MVP. But
yeah, the stock here.
Cooper Kupp, man, oh my God. Just look at the stats that he's put up. 2 weeks. He's scored less than 20 points out of the 9. Every other week it's 20 plus, and he's just been a stud for you. Matthew Stafford obviously loves him. Like you said earlier podcast, they have breakfast together. Like these two have an unbelievable bond, and if you grabbed him, then he's got to be your MVP straight up.
He just is the MVP, and the reason he is the MVP is that if he sat for 2 games, he would still be the wide receiver 1. He has 50 PPR points ahead of the next nearest wide receiver. That is absurd. That is absolutely. He's putting up
numbers. What's more absurd is that it's Tyreek Hill at the 2.
Yeah, I know. Well, and that just shows the upside Tyreek has, because he's had really bad games.
He had like a 50 bomb earlier in the season.
Exactly. Yeah. So, Gil, get into your wide receiver MVP.
I want to say Devontae Adams, but I don't think, given the people that should be taken ahead, I can't say it. So I'm going to go with Deebo Samuel of the San Francisco 49ers.
Love that pick.
He's about 10 points ahead of the 5th-ranked Devontae Adams, and he's ranked 4th. Yeah. He's behind Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, and Cooper Kupp. I can't stress enough how surprising this has been. I think I drafted him in the late, I want to say 6th round in our league. I wish I drafted him in every league.
Some leagues he was going later than 6th.
He was going late. Yeah. No, he was going maybe 7th, 8th.
Yeah.
I can't. Isn't he he's top 5 in receiving, actual receiving yards?
I think receiving he's top 3.
He's top 3. Yeah, I think he's second behind Kupp.
Yeah, I want to say I think the reason he was going so late is because the hype around Brandon Ayuk, rightly so, after last season, and the other thing is his injury risk that he's had over the course of his entire career.
I didn't really buy into the Ayuk stuff because I knew Samuel was coming back, so I didn't think Ayuk was going to put up anything close to the numbers he was going to put up last season. I obviously didn't think he was going to be a droppable player like he is now, which is kind of sad. However, this has been more shocking. This has been more shocking than Brandon Ayuk playing terribly. Because this is a run-heavy offense for the most part, right? Mostert, Trey Sermon, Eli Mitchell. I didn't expect Deebo Samuel to be a top 5 ranked receiver.
No.
I don't think anybody did.
Imagine you drafted Cooper Kupp, Deebo, and maybe
laughing your way to the bank right now.
Yeah. Well, maybe a Jamar Chase as well, which leads me nicely into my one. I know Gil just mentioned him as well. But Jamar Chase, we honestly, this could be the Jamar Chase podcast. I remember Karlos doing a little segment on him as well in week 5 or week 6 as well, because we realized he was putting up Randy Moss type numbers.
Oh yeah.
Jamar Chase is 3rd overall in the season. He's averaging 18.7 PPR points, and the target share that he's getting is incredible. He's coming off a bad week, which is very unlike Jamar Chase. He had 13 targets though. He only had 6 catches for 49 yards, and he did have a bad fumble. But he has the potential every single week to win you a week based on the huge downfield threat that he has. Joe Burrow loves going to him. Joe Burrow trusts him, and that's not going to change at any point during the entire season. He's going to keep on doing that because Jamar Chase has proven that he has the ability to just go out there and ball out. And I absolutely love Jamar Chase, and I didn't draft him in the 5th or 6th round, which is where he was going.
And if you watch that game against the Browns, if Denzel Ward doesn't throw that interception, Jamar Chase scores a touchdown and probably has up double-digit points.
Yeah. Okay, we have some breaking news here as well, guys, dropping right on the podcast. Sam Darnold will be out for the next few weeks with a fractured scapula. So that's huge news for the fantasy community. But again, I'm actually this is me live reacting here, but I actually think that actually might be a good thing because Sam Darnold has looked terrible. He was awful this week. 3 interceptions. DJ Moore is struggling as a result of it. Robbie Anderson, over the last 4 weeks...
He's looked non-existent.
Can I tell you something? Robbie Anderson, over the last 4 weeks, has put up 28 yards. 28 yards. I mean, he should be on everyone's waiver wire. I hope he's not on anyone's team at this point.
Dropped him 2 weeks ago.
It's PJ Walker who's going to be coming in as the backup. PJ Walker isn't amazing, but he might at least be able to support a DJ Moore, and when McCaffrey's out, maybe getting some passes as well. So what are your guys' thoughts on this Darnold news?
This might be the best thing that happened to the Panthers. I really think so. Like, Darnold, I'm happy for Jets fans specifically, so they don't have to say, "Oh, he wasn't bad because he was on the Jets. He's bad because he's bad."
Yeah, the Darnold experiment is over.
I'm tired.
Sorry.
I'm tired of giving Sam Darnold the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
He is not a good quarterback.
He had 3 great matchups those first 3 weeks.
He had fantastic first 3 games. And albeit they were not good opponents.
No, they were awful.
I mean, the Saints was decent, but that's it.
Did they beat the Saints?
They beat the Saints, remember that. And then, but it was like the Texans and the Jets.
Yeah.
So you expected him to have those good games.
I think Sam Darnold 3 with you guys. I agree.
Yeah, come hell or high water, this man's not going to do it. This man can't perform.
No, that's absolutely right. Yeah, he in the first 3 weeks he played the Jets, he played the Saints, and he played the Texans. So those are easy matchups. All right, so that was some breaking news. Let's get into our last fantasy MVPs here, and we're going to get into the tight end position. Nick, start us off here.
I'm going with another Atlanta Falcon over here.
Oh, look at this.
I'm going
the Rams and the Falcons.
And it's not Younghoe Koo. What?
I know, man. That guy.
He could play tight end, probably.
That man
probably could. He can do whatever he wants. That guy. But no, Kyle Pitts is probably someone that you grabbed. I know he was a top 5 tight end, and there was a lot of hype on him, but you probably grabbed him 7th, 8th round, and you passed up on Kelsey, passed up on Kittle, Waller, maybe even Mark Andrews, but Kyle Pitts has been putting up numbers, and again, because of Calvin Ridley's absence from the team, Kyle Pitts is succeeding from that, and he is having a lot of target shares, and Matt Ryan actually trusts him a lot, especially towards the end zone. Yeah,
he's the main target on that team. On the Falcons stand. He absolutely is. When they come up, Marshawn Lattimore this week was covering Kyle Pitts. That's their best cornerback, and they're covering Kyle Pitts.
It's been pretty much the Cordero Patterson show for the most part, but I would agree that Kyle Pitts has been actually a lot more surprising.
Yeah.
I didn't think he would be incredible right out the gate.
Because it's rookie tight end.
It's rookie tight ends, and like we've said, I'm going to say it every week because Karlos is not here right now. The tight ends is a fantasy wasteland.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So speaking of the wasteland, why don't we get on to your pick here, Gil?
I like keeping the ranks high because obviously this is the MVP. I'm going to go with Mike Gesicki from Miami.
Good pick.
I'm actually astonished that I went for this because I'm looking at the I was looking through the rankings before we got to the show today.
Yeah.
I did not know he was tight end 3rd.
Yeah.
He was the tight end 3 amongst. He's behind only Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Totally shocked the F out of me.
He was probably someone that went undrafted for like some leagues.
No, he definitely got drafted.
On what leagues
Maybe.
I think he definitely got drafted.
If you're in an 8-man league, maybe.
Yeah, 2 leagues not drafted.
That's interesting.
Up on the waivers.
No, but he's had games where he'll hit double digits.
I could see him being dropped after week 2. He didn't play week 1, and then he had 7 points week 2, so maybe people dropped him there.
He's on the upward trend. The last couple of weeks have been a little like tight end floor, like 9 points, which is like what you want from a tight end. You know, those obviously tight ends is a momentum-based market.
Yeah.
So you're gonna pick up the hot hand if you don't have any of those lottery tight ends. Like obviously, you know, you stream your Freiermuth this week, or your Dawson Knoxes a few weeks ago, or you get the idea. You always want to go with the hot hand.
Yeah.
Gesicki's just been lights out.
And he has great matchups coming up against Baltimore, the Jets, Carolina, New York. So he looks great going forward. I'm gonna talk about, because I feel like it would be an absolute crime to talk about the tight end position and not talk about the best tight end over the last 5 years, and Travis Kelce. He's the tight end 1 on the season by 24 PPR points. I think people kind of think that he has had a bit of a letdown year, and I will say that he has had a couple of uncharacteristic Kelce games. Kelce would never score you less than double digits. He has had 2 games with a 6 and a 4, but the rest of them are all 17s. You know, he's had 4 17-point games, and that's like exactly what you are paying up for. The only thing is that at the back, people were taking him around the 7 or 8 spot this year in the draft, and you might be regretting that a little bit, because the 17 and let's say you got a Gesicki who has been putting up, 16s and stuff, 15 points. You got him back at the 8th or 9th. There's not that much of a disparity at that point.
Yeah.
But Kelce has been absolutely awesome this season. I just traded for him in our league, actually. He scored me 17 this week, and I had a nice win against someone. What was his name? Oh, it was Nick. Sorry.
Yes.
Right, so it was Nick.
Yes, it was. Thank you.
Giving us a little bit of a long applause for this one.
You know what it was, though? It was Greg Zerloin not getting a single point for me. I looked back at the score.
Yep.
Greg Zerloin, yeah, do it, Gil. Do it, Gil.
Well, if it makes you feel better, I had Greg Zerloin in another league. And also, Greg Zerloin news, he is out this week with COVID.
Oh my God.
So,
you can guess where he's going on the this week. Go out of here.
Absolutely. All right, so that was our midway point fantasy MVPs. Obviously, we didn't have Karlos here today to talk about that. So we're going to get into one quick fire segment at the end to finish things off here, and I'm going to give these guys a couple of quarterbacks, couple of running backs, wide receivers, and I want them. We're just going to do a quick fire start sit. So I'm going to start off the quarterback position here. I want you guys to tell me who you would start in this position. So we have Matt Ryan at Dallas or Ryan Tannehill versus the Saints.
I'm going to go Ryan Tannehill.
I'm going Matt Ryan.
Okay.
I'm going to say Tannehill simply because I'm just going to continue feeding the hot hand right now.
Yeah.
There is so much optimism in Tennessee right now. They'll eventually flounder, I think. But right now, they just came off of a win against the Rams.
Yeah.
Can you believe that? And not only just beating the Rams, they beat the Colts. They had another great string of wins. I honestly
Didn't they beat the Bills?
They beat the Bills
2 weeks ago.
They beat the Bills, and now
They beat the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Rams.
they beat the Rams without Derrick Henry.
They beat 4 playoff teams this year.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty legit.
Yeah.
I would continue feeding the hot hand. Not only has he just been now throwing better, he's like really honed in on it.
Yeah.
I just think he's just going, just when you think hella high water, boom, he's rising.
I will say Tannehill had 15 points this week. Matt Ryan had 28 against a New Orleans team. So against
Fantasy-wise,
New Orleans,
going
Matt Ryan played this week, 28 points, and now Ryan Tannehill is playing them. So it will be interesting to see how they do in that matchup. Matt Ryan is currently 15, Ryan Tannehill is currently 16.
I'm concerned for Matt Ryan in the sense that
They're playing Dallas.
They're playing Dallas, but who knows? He could still throw a pick. It's Matt Ryan.
Look what Teddy Bridgewater just did against Dallas.
Teddy Two Gloves, baby.
I think Matt Ryan's going to put up 30 points.
Being a Falcons fan, I can almost guarantee that just because they played really well against the Saints, they're going to come in against Dallas and just completely not play well. So, all right.
You know better than I do.
Yeah, so let's talk about 2 QBs that are probably being played in most leagues, but Patrick Mahomes at the Raiders or Jalen Hurts at Denver.
I don't know why you wouldn't play Mahomes.
I guess you have to, but Mahomes is ranked 9 right now and Hurts is 11.
You know what? This is really sad that we have to even.
Yeah, I can't believe this is a topic.
Mahomes was always a must start after.
But he's not right now.
And now you just have to think about it.
I don't see the Raiders defense giving him a reason to turn the ball over. They're a good defense. But they're not ones that cause many turnovers.
I can see this game being a shootout game because it's a divisional game. They always play tough against
Every
each
time
other.
I say it's a shootout, it's not going to be a shootout.
But Nick said it though.
So maybe it might.
So I'm not going to agree. So I'm not going to agree with you. However, I think Mahomes is going to have an average like 20-point, 22-point game, and that's what I think that would give him the edge. Jalen Hurts, he'll only succeed if he's in garbage time.
I'm going Mahomes too, just because of how well Jordan Howard has been running the ball on that side and stealing touchdowns from Hurts. So I'm also going Mahomes.
Hurts has also looked better the last 2 weeks in real life, and consequently his fantasy numbers are down. It's so peculiar how that works. We're going to go to the wide receiver position here. Tyler Lockett at Green Bay with Russell Wilson back, or Mike Williams versus Minnesota.
You can go first, Nick.
Wow, because both of those guys are boom or bust. I mean, most likely, Mike Williams hasn't looked like the Mike Williams of week 1 to week 3 in a while.
The last 4 weeks, Mike Williams is the wide receiver 55 on the season.
It's been awful.
Can I just say that?
That's honestly just such a crazy stat. If you didn't trade Mike Williams before week 3, you're probably kicking yourself right now. But I think I'm going Lockett just because Wilson's coming back, and I think it's going to be a good game overall, and the game script's going to be good. So I'm going Lockett.
I need to add, as a Chargers fan and a Keenan Allen owner, I'm very relieved that, because I remember we had this conversation a few weeks ago regarding Mike Williams and how Keenan Allen should eventually work his way back into the flow of things, like fantasy-wise, like he'll get his numbers, and he did.
We were going to do a trade.
We were almost going to do a trade, and then he's played well.
Yeah. So who are you going with?
I'm going to have to go with Lockett as well.
Okay.
I need to, as much as I want to disagree, for the sake of disagreeing, I have to go with Lockett. This is probably the safer bet. As strange as it sounds with Lockett, I don't know why I don't want to place a bet on Mike Williams just yet, because now that we see, as soon as Keenan Allen gets going, he's not going to throw it to anybody. Herbert's not going to throw it to anybody else. Not even Eckler. When it became a Keenan Allen game, Eckler was getting only yards on the ground.
Sorry, I'm going to break some more news right now, actually, and it's actually quite disturbing news. Per Adam Schefter, ESPN, there is been a report that Dalvin Cook is the victim of domestic abuse and extortion, and there is a pending litigation right now.
Oh,
so
my God!
Does that mean that he is being abused? You
said he's a victim?
He is the victim of domestic abuse. So he's the one being abused. Wow, that's absolutely crazy.
Wow.
And I know that's me reacting on the fly. So I think that it obviously shows that domestic abuse can go both ways. I think that's as soon as someone thinks of an NFL player, they think, oh, it must be them being the one who is the aggressor.
It's just a poor track record of NFL players.
So well, I hope everything is okay there.
Prayers up for Dalvin Cook.
We're gonna go into another wide receiver here: Chase Claypool versus Detroit, or Jerry Jeudy versus Dallas.
I'm gonna go Jerry Jeudy. I think because the game script is so positive for the Steelers, they're just going to continually feed Najee Harris.
Yep.
Who are the Steelers facing again? Say that.
The Steelers are playing the Lions. Yeah.
Oh, wow. And I know Claypool got a little banged up from last night too, but I think I'm still going for Claypool here, just because the Lions just can't guard anyone.
You need a bounce back game. Well, Claypool is now the wide receiver 25, and Jeudy is the 27 going into the week. Also, Lockett was the 19, Mike Williams was the 22.
I just want to add one quick thing too. Ben Roethlisberger still can't throw the ball.
He can't throw the deep ball.
He can't throw a distant ball.
No.
That plays a massive factor into why he'll just continually throw to Harris and nobody else.
And Deontay.
It's a coin flip.
And Deontay, that's true. But
those short targets. Let's move into the running back position here. Josh Jacobs versus Kansas City, or Melvin Gordon versus the Eagles. Josh Jacobs.
I'm going Jacobs.
Okay.
I like Jacobs.
I think he was banged up a little bit this week as well.
If he's healthy, if he's not going to get scratched from this game,
I'm kind of scared of Drake, because Drake actually played a good game, but I'm still going to go Jacobs just because of.
We need to disagree on more of these for the love of God, but I really think Jacobs gets this one just because I don't know what it is when the Raiders play the Chiefs every year. They play their best football. Against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs were literally the best team in the NFL last year through 17 games.
And didn't they lose
And the Raiders
Both
put up
games?
like 40
No, they
points.
were like nail biters.
Yeah.
They were like absolute nail
1-on-1
biters. Like
maybe, yeah.
Mahomes had to put up a game-winning drive against the Raiders, and I think the Raiders actually did get one. You might be right.
Yeah, I think so. All right, this one's quite a fun one. So, by the way, Josh Jacobs is the number 17 going the season, and Melvin Gordon is the 20. This is quite a fun one. These guys are back-to-back in everyone's rankings, and there is a good reason for it. Jeremy McNichols or Adrian Peterson.
We did this last week too,
I
didn't
know,
we?
but like but last week we were speculating. This week we're not. This week we saw Adrian Peterson fall into the end zone, and we also saw a third back, Deontay Foreman, also playing, looking like really good as well. So those two are back to back. If you had to play one, who would you play? Full PPR.
Full PPR. I saw McNichols got more receptions than Peterson, but Peterson got the goal line.
He's the one to punch it in.
Yeah.
He did. He got the touchdown.
So it's a coin flip. I think because the game script with the Rams last week, I think they just put in Peterson just to throw him off. But I think this week McNichols might.
I'm gonna
show up.
I'm gonna go AP actually.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go AP.
I think I would too.
I see the reason to go McNichols, but I'm gonna go Peterson simply on the fact that you're gonna get these goal line touches where he's gonna just straight up ram it in. How many touchdowns are gonna go to McNichols? That's the thing.
Yeah, maybe a couple. Honestly, avoid the situation if you can, right?
I would too. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's get on to the last one here, and I'm going to give you one tight end. So Dallas Goedert versus Denver, or the Muth versus the Lions.
First off, I told Jack I'd do this. Jack Hopkins, thank you very much for telling me to stream Pat Freiermuth this week, because he won me a very close game.
Yep.
That said,
You're going to have to roll with it, surely.
I'm gonna continue feeding the hot hand. Screw it, I'll go the Muth. Okay. I'm gonna go Pat Freiermuth. And again, it's like the same thing I said with Tannehill. Feed the hot hand when you get the chance. He has been the end zone target.
Yeah.
If you're not punching it with Najee, you go to Freiermuth. He's clearly got open every time.
Yeah, and he's a rookie as well. This is the thing. He's doing well because it is taking him 2 months to acclimatize to the offense. It's now week 9, week 10. He's scored 3 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. It's starting to work.
Of course, obviously you mean play Muth if Ebron sits, right?
I think you play him anyway.
You think so?
I think so. Did Ebron sit last night? I don't know.
Yeah, no, he wasn't playing.
He did. I think at this point, if you're Ben Roethlisberger, are you really going to go to Ebron after what Pat Freiermuth has done for you the last 2 weeks?
Really, it's just like a total game plan thing. It's not really up to him as much. If Ebron's in, he'd probably feed him instead of Muth.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. You guys are talking about the Muth in the chat last night, and I'm like, who the?
You went on the podcast last week. That's why.
I'm like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, I missed that one, but no, I think I'm also going him too. Just by looking at his numbers, you guys are talking about him a lot. I think he's just a great player.
You bloody sheep.
I think I'm gonna
Dallas Goedert was at 8 and Pat Freiermuth was at 10, so they're pretty close in rankings. So that'll do it for us tonight, guys. That was a great show. We miss you, Karlos. And yeah, thank you guys for listening. We'll be back next week with another episode. Follow us on all of the socials, the 4 Horsemen of Fantasy. Follow us on Instagram and also subscribe to us on YouTube. Thank you very much for listening, guys. Take care.
have fun editing this, Karlos. After last week. Thanks, Karlos. Enjoy.
he really wanted to get him on this one.
Thanks, guys.